I would like just to start introducing you. Bernadette Hopkins was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland, and has exhibited in New York, Italy, and Ireland. She is a visual, performance, and social practice artist and has lived and worked in Milan, Dublin and Co, Donegal. She graduated with first-class honours in a Master Social Practice Art at Limerick School of Art and Design in Fine Art and Painting at Dunleary College of Art and Design. Her art practice explores contested spaces and environments, affecting the natural world and the human condition through visual multimedia, performance art, and collaborative practice. So, hope to have read this correctly, all these things, and in a certain way, the Italian connection, they are sometimes visible because you worked and lived in Milan, and so. But this is just a coincidence.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. It's good to be here. It's lovely. Thank you. I do see the exhibition as a conversation that we all need to be having at the moment, particularly now. It's so urgent to have this conversation. I feel we are very connected to nature and very dependent on it. And when Heidegger wrote about the way human beings see nature as a standing reserve, and it is limited. It's not unlimited, that supply. So a lot of the themes in my work are around this, the way we kind of use nature and extract from the earth, and also the femininity sort of aspect of nature and how it connects with women is very strong as well to me. And this particular piece of work that with Forgotten Places, with the Wild Swans collaboration, it was a work that 10 artists, there was 10 artists, 10 films and 10 texts produced out of this work. So my work is very much a sense of place and space, in a place where my grandmother grew up and also my mother grew up. So it was very personal doing the work in that space, and it was very site specific, and it was in Donegal and it was in Fanad, and it's a very beautiful area, but it also has been, very much neglected as well in many ways. There's been a lot of history of poverty in the area, and it was kind of forgotten about because it's so peripheral. It's way up the top northwest coast of Ireland, and also my grandmother was a member of the Common Band, so she fought for an independent Ireland, but she was very much interested in rights for women, and also bringing sort of life into the area of Fanad. So the area itself, it's full of granite stone, and a lot of the granite was cut out of there. The rock was cut out and put on ships over 200 years, and it was shipped off to Scotland, and from there the granite stone went to London, and it built big houses in London. So you can still see the marks of this excavation in the landscape, and it's very rugged, beautiful, stony. It's right on the ocean, but it's very interesting history because also there was emigration from that area. So because of the poverty, a lot of the young people, nearly all the young people at one point had to leave that area and go away. So it was very rich to work from,
And let me know how do you want to proceed. If you want to read now what you wrote, and then we can show the performance. So in this in this way, people, they can, if they have any question, they can, we can answer together, because it's better I have you.
Yeah, I think, I'll go ahead and read this for you, and then we can, see the film and discuss it a little bit afterwards. Maybe it'll sort of be, be easier to kind of do it that way. So, it's called, the performance I did was called Steeped, was a word she used. So, I'll just start. That first cut of granite, scraped and shaped, was put on boats and floated out onto a buoyant ocean, followed by sons and daughters. 11 babies scooped out, delivered, left an unseen wound in a small woman with an independent spirit, whose sacrifice was unrequited. No one heard, as hers was not the sanguine or bullish story that this new republic cared for on second thoughts. There are many ways to cut out a tongue, and poverty is one. My mother grew steeped in it. She rose out of this submerged language and sense of otherness. She saw herself in rock pools and sheets of wet sands as an elemental force. Her skin taut over protruding wrist bones and strong calf muscles. Barefoot and untamed, with a mane of copper, unbelonging. She didn't take the garments given to her by church and state. Late at night, she sewed gowns of autonomy and liberty and wore them in solidarity. She hurled ideas of family law and rights for women like boulders out into a sea of tuts. My grandmother's table stands here in the tides of time, in ebbs and flows, cyclical rhythms and measurements that women understand. Forget me not, I hear her say. So that was the piece I wrote around it. And also it kind of is important, I think, to remember sort of what the women did fight for, and it was a more socialist type of world that they were looking for, where everybody was looked after. So I kind of think that that's a reminder to us when we look at the climate issues, that it's very much linked to that we need to look at our politics, not just our environment.
It's a mix of feelings that they are appearing and coming up to me. Listen your words and what you wrote, and it's something that is touching, probably because I'm a woman and I can see what the woman, they are suffering in a way, and I can see that even now that we are in this century, the differences, they are still there, just normal in everyday life, I think. Mm-hmm. And I can see that the violence against the woman is increasing. For example, I just read this morning an article, and it's rapes of young girls. They are happening again in my country. So it's something that we have to think about the role of the woman and in this society, I think. And
I think our reproductive rights are important because, I looked at my grandmother who fought for, women's rights and independence. And, she had 11 children, and that must have been just unbelievable, to have her independence so curtailed, by the fact that she obviously then had no way of curtailing her reproduction and that, you know. So it's all linked. I kind of, when I was there in that space in Fanad, I just kind of felt that it also happens to the land, that it doesn't have anybody speaking up for it to say, you know, stop raping out the land as well, you know. It's kind of that, so.
Yeah, and I can see very well in this the history of my family, because it was similar. So I remember that both my grandmothers, they were part of a big family, and they didn't have time for themselves. They just do always something for the family, or just because the family was so big, so numerous, and it was difficult to look after to all these babies, and at the same time the land, because they were just farmer, and it was complicated at the time. Have an identity, I think, or just have a support, or have something. I don't know. It seems like the woman was just there for the family, and no, nothing else. This is, for example, what happening to me, and the experience of the roots of my family. If I have just to say, coming back to the background and what happened in the past, but it was not so a past. It was a recent past. Mm-hmm. So, and I think anyway that the connection in your case, specific case, that the Northern Ireland and that area, that is still a mysterious area for me. All the time I have to look at the part of Ireland that's something that I can't really understand completely. It's something that probably because I'm from another country, and even I've read and I try to understand the history anyway of this country. It's much more intricate than the books that they are probably revealing or just writing. And I can just imagine how it was difficult.
Yeah, I think it is it's very hard for people to understand it because it is very complex, and, you know, but I think the Suzanne Lacey, you know, the public arts, you know, she does socially engaged art. Mm-hmm. She came to Northern Ireland last year, and I worked with her, and she did a piece around the border areas that was very interesting. And she did was she worked with groups on the other side of the border, and then she brought them to speak in Stormont as an art installation, and they got a chance to say what they felt about living on both sides of the border, and how. Then they created a people's manifesto of that, mm-hmm. which I thought was very powerful, because both people wanted to live. You know, they didn't want the border. They wanted to be able to, you know, not have a border that they had to cross, their family on one side and them on the other. They wanted to be able to go about their business freely and to respect each other. So that's, you know, that goes back to the peace process and all the work that was done, and now how it could be unraveled actually through Brexit and what's happened with that, you know, one prime minister can change everything, you know. So there's it is very complex, but I think that piece of art actually was great in sort of bringing together what's really important about the people and the land, and how they farm on both sides and they work on both sides. So the border, I mean, it was taken down during the peace process. Nobody wants to see that go back up again.
Of course.
And the land is all one, like streams.
Oh yes, that is.
It's kind of.
Yeah, for that reason, I can completely understand, because it's one land, in my opinion. The borders are just defined by nature. There is an ocean around, so that is defining the borders between the land and the water. And it's so clear. And that is why I can't completely. And the same language and the same history and the same land. Why not? So it's that my question all the time. But I know that it's not easy, like how I'm describing this. But anyway, it's so clear in front of my eyes.
There's so much work has been done, and people, so much respect for each other has been built up. For another country to come in and put a border there again would be just, it's just unthinkable, really.
Yeah, no.
Well, fingers crossed that will not, because people are living in peace at the moment, and everybody.
And we don't need absolutely something like happened in the past, especially now with all these big problems that we have to face and stand, and so that's something that we have to. We don't have to fall in this again, in this problem, or just in this mistake.
Yeah.
So if you want, I would like just now to show your video, so your performance. So
okay, thanks, Larry.
Thank you. And then if you want, we can describe or just talk better about this video.
Perfect, thank you.
So So thanks for this video again. And if you want to say something more about this video to explain better.
Yeah, just I suppose looking sort of at the history of the place and the personal history of my grandmother. My mother had to, she was very much a feminist, even though she didn't call herself that. But she had to really stand up for her rights, when we were children, on different issues. At night time, she used to, what I referred to there, when she sewed gowns of autonomy, she had to kind of be a woman living in a world that she didn't really fit into. And she was a fantastic dress designer, and she used to sit up at night making these incredible ball gowns that were sort of not, I suppose they would have been frowned on by, they would have been frowned on by the kind of prim and proper kind of other women in the community and things like that. And she used to say things about women's rights and, there'd be silence sort of thing.
Yeah.
That. So she had, she was a very strong person. She was very much her own person, and she really was one of those women that helped get rights for the rest of us, I kind of feel. And I think some of the reason of that maybe was watching her own mother, who had to kind of relinquish all her rights and everything that she had fought for, to just bring up a big family, and in a place that's quite conservative, I suppose. It must have been difficult for somebody with a kind of freer spirit,
Yeah.
But there is a beautiful spirit in that place.
Yeah.
And it is a very free spirit. So I think she tapped into that was very much into nature, and so was my grandmother. So.
And it was, for me, when I saw this video for the first time, it was a very quiet video for all the time. There were just the sound of the water, and it was so beautiful, and see the land, and watching you doing that movement, and then at the end, and there is like an explosion of your voice that is so intense. It seems like it's coming from someone else, some other place, or I don't know. It's like freedom, an act of open yourself and liberate and do something like that. I don't know. Let me know if it's correct.
It's strange because it just happened at the end of it. Wasn't planned or anything. It just came out. So, it was the very end of, the way performance is very much improvised performance art. So, yes, you bring certain things to it, but then you work with what's around you and that kind of thing. And that just came out at the end. I'm actually was surprised myself about that, to bring like, I kind of thought afterwards, where did that come from? But it obviously was all this writing and all the work I'd been doing around it. This is what came out at the very end. So I kind of think it was quite interesting myself because, I'm not somebody that would sort of shout or yell.
Yeah, it's a primordial shouting. I don't know. It seems like for me something like that, and I was surprised, but at the same time, I have just to say that it is so intense. So every time I'm watching this performance. At the end, I can feel just like, I don't know, like freezing. I have this sensation that it's given me some strange thoughts and feelings that they are coming from a part that it's unconscious. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, it felt similar. Yeah. It's kind of unconscious, came up, kind of just rose right up, you know what I mean, on the day.
So let me know. Sorry if I interrupted.
No, not at all. It was, you know, it's just that place is so quiet, so silent. Yeah. So yeah, it was quite. You could hear it. The echo was off it all over the place.
Yeah.
I must have frightened the birds too. Yeah.
So it is really something very wild, and and I want just to thank you again, and I will never stop to thank you, because it was a very pleasure to meet you before the pandemic at the RCC, and now have you again as part of this project anyway. And I have just to say that you are giving an extra I don't know, like an extra point of view, an extra lift, or whatever it is, but to this exhibition. And I really appreciated that you are continuing to participate in this event, and part of my now collaboration. So thank you so much, and I hope to see you.
It's been a really pleasure, and I love the exhibition. Your exhibition's wonderful, and the artists working with you, all of their work is just so interesting to me. I really enjoyed the exhibition when I went to see it in the Regional Cultural Centre in Letterkenny.
Yeah.
And it was, it's really wonderful to see artists of that caliber, you know, working together and collaborating.
Oh no.
Well. And you know, you're coordinating it all, which there's a lot of work involved in that. And I think, there's great integrity in that exhibition and in the artists involved, and it really shows through the work, and also the collaborative aspect. That takes time to create such a good collaboration. And that's something that we need to be given time as artists to develop, I think, you know, develop our work, develop collaboration in a very real way. And I think obviously you've given that space to the artists that you're working with. And that's really, I mean, for myself as an artist, it's so important to have that time to develop work properly.
Of course.
You know,
of course, because
and so to develop relationships, you know, and very grounded. So it's to see your exhibition. It's wonderful, and the way you've worked with it. It's been great working with you. So thanks so much.
So
it would be lovely. Best wishes to you and to the Lewin Gallery, and thanks again.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thanks again. Bye bye.
Bye bye.